What's good, world? It's your boy Brandon P.
Yo, what's up? This is Beacon Light.
Yo, what up? This is Derek Miner.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Brandon.
Yo, this is George Rose.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Miles Minnick, and you are tuned in to Oxen Brand Music. Let's glow.
Hey, what up, ladies and gentlemen? What's up? What's up? What's good? It's good to see you guys again. Another Monday, and another Monday that I'm trying to do this thing from afar. So I'm gonna figure this out, y'all. We're gonna figure this out together. So, what up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is DJ Integrity. Welcome to MixMondays, hosted and powered by Oxen Brand Music. And as always, unofficially sponsored by Chick-fil-A Sweet Tea, where all your joy is just one sip away. Jatu Sabes! Y'all know what it is. If you guys didn't have a great weekend, which I'm sorry if you didn't, but Monday always comes around, and Chick-fil-A always reminds you on the back of their cup every Monday. This is why you should go to Chick-fil-A every single Monday. They remind you that you're the best part of today. Okay, little narcissistic, but hey, we're gonna run with it. Okay, we gonna run with it. Okay. Hey, as always, you guys know what it is. We've got some Spotify playlists for you guys to check out. We've got our smooth vibes and our crate diggers, of course. Crate diggers got a little bit of everything for you. For our workout people, if you are in April and you are still working out, I still applaud you. I still commend you. Way to get it done. We got you guys covered with Oxen Strong. And I'm going to be updating this because I've had some people check it out, and they're like, well, can you put something else other than just like heavy rap? So I don't know. You know, I'm here to serve y'all, okay? I'm here as a DJ. I'm here to serve y'all. So if you got some ideas, let me know. For my rockers, we got you guys covered. Not a whole lot of rock, so if y'all want more, you're going to have to tell me some more, but we definitely guys got you covered. It's a lot of rock that I, going into Christianity, kind of heard about and stuff, and this is also, you know, like Red, if you guys remember that, or Pillar, some old school cats. We guys got you covered there. And then for my lo-fi people, of course, I've got you there. That's where I do most of my stuff. Y'all know, if I do any kind of working out or anything kind of, you know, physical thing or whatever, I can't do like hype music, so lo-fi is where I'm at. And speaking of which, and it's not 100% lo-fi, but it's got that kind of chill vibe as well. We've got a new playlist for you guys called Praise Bops. Okay, called Praise Bops. So that's got some kind of lo-fi, you know, praise type music or whatever. And then there's some other stuff. So go check it out. Go check it out. If you guys are here on Twitch tuning in live, make sure that you guys are subscribed to our YouTube, because that is where we not only do some exclusive lives there, but that's where we drop a lot of these videos, and that's where you can find some recaps, some YouTube shorts, and just a whole bunch of other little things over there as well. So make sure you guys do that. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get right into it, especially because we're supposed to have a tornado warning at some point throughout the night. So before that stuff happens, I want to get this show going. So please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome for the first time to the show, Be Nice. Yes, absolutely, bro. Absolutely, man. I'm so glad that you're on, man. And just the fact that we get a chance to talk to someone who's done some things, bro. You've done some things, okay? But we're going to take our time with it. So for those who may not know who Be Nice is, could you give us a little backstory to who you are?
Yeah, I'll give you a little quick rundown. My name is government name Bryan Narcisse, aka Be Nice. I have had that nickname since middle school, but it's most notably been used when I was a member of the world famous Harlem Globetrotters.
Hey.
And so I got a chance to play for a full season with them. Right before that, I got a chance to play on a full basketball scholarship at Clemson University. Go Tigers. They just, you know, had that amazing run in March Madness.
Yeah.
So proud alum, seeing those guys do what they did. And I'm originally from North Augusta, South Carolina. A lot of people aren't familiar with that side of it. Similar, it's kind of like East St. Louis, you know, It's across the river, and some people know, but they don't know. A lot of people know about the Masters Golf Tournament in Augusta, Georgia, but North Augusta is in South Carolina. So I've been in South Carolina my whole life. I'm married, met my beautiful wife, Shavonda, through working with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We were on staff together. And I was on staff with SCA for 10 years, just recently stepped off to pursue freelancing as a creative, felt the Lord calling me into that season. And yeah, God is good.
Wow. Yeah, man. Harlem Globetrotters, bro. That's still a name that a lot of people go like, oh man, that's so cool, right? There's so much history, right? So much depth, bro. Like, was that now? for those who may not know, is that something that you're like, hey, let me try out for your team? I want to make the team. Like, how's that process go?
It's actually funny because so the initial domino, I guess you could say we're on the 12-year anniversary of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Final Four is coming up for the NCAA basketball tournament. During Final Four weekend, every year they have a college slam dunk and 3-point contest that is only open to seniors.
Mm.
And so it'll be interesting to see on Thursday who they've selected for this particular year.
Yeah.
But I was selected to participate my senior year. Ironically, if this was that week when it happened, I didn't find out that I was in the contest that was happening on Thursday until Tuesday at lunch.
Wow.
So like if this was this week, I would still be like making plans as if I'm not in it. And which I actually had. I remember I was supposed to be getting lunch with a friend of mine on that Wednesday, and I flew out to New Orleans Wednesday at 6 a.m. And so, of course, when the time came, she was like, "Hey, where are you?" I'm like, "I'm in New Orleans. I'll tell you about it later." It's a really funny story because we had made the plans like on Monday. So it's like, what do you mean you're in New Orleans? Like, yeah. So, but did the college slam dunk contest. Actually got third place in that. So that was really cool. They showed that on ESPN. So it's a fun opportunity, getting a chance to go out there and do that. And then from there, the Globetrotters recruit heavily because it is obviously a chance for them to see you not only in your dunking abilities, but also how you handle the big stage, how you deal with the showmanship of what it takes to really win a dunk contest. I tell people it's not just doing the best dunks; it's also how you sell it. It's how you present yourself, play to the crowd, all the things. You feel me? So I got recruited from there. Essentially, I actually got drafted. So myself and the guy who won got drafted to the Globetrotters, and all a draft spot was basically a formal invitation to come try out. And so I got a chance to try out for the Globetrotters. Tryouts was 3 hours in the gym, and they want to just see your base of basketball. They can teach you the tricks, they can teach you the showmanship, all of that. But if you don't really know how to play, and you're kind of, that part's lacking, it becomes evident because there are parts within the game that it really is just, hey, go hoop. And so got that opportunity, so 3 hours, in the gym, and then there was a 30-minute interview. And so of about 20 people that tried out, I was one of 2 people that was offered a full-time position right out the gate.
Wow.
And I didn't realize how rare that was or how, limited that was until after the fact. And so, awesome opportunity. I was officially part of the world famous Harlem Globetrotters at age 21. So that also is kind of crazy to think about in retrospect. But I still had to go through training camp for the Globetrotters. Now, that's a whole different thing. Training camp was a week long, and it was 9-hour days in the gym.
Sheesh.
And so,
that's a work shift.
So as a finisher, so the Globetrotters have about 27, 28 full-time players. And I'm essentially having to learn how to catch an alley-oop from everybody. Because you never know what could happen, It's like, and so you learn people's tendencies when they throw alley-oops and just how they the traditional hop, the 3-man weave that you see the Globetrotters do. And so a lot of that it's practice, the half court shots, in the same way you see Steph Curry shooting threes, like the showmen, the veterans, they're practicing those half-court shots, truly they are masters of the craft.
Wow.
And so, but 9-hour days in the gym for an entire week. And then at night, you get media training because that's another part of it. You think about all the travel, all the, interactions that you have in different cities and with fans and things like that. And so you got to get trained on things like that. And so that's how the preparation for the Globetrotters started.
Wow. Yeah, man. 9 hours days. obviously I would think that they're going to be practicing, the tricks or whatever, but like to hear that they're actually practicing like for real basketball too. Cause that's the thing. Like, you see clips, and of course a lot of the clips that you see are the tricks, and you see the setups, and you see,
Right.
and so it gets sold like something where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. But at the same time, like I would like to see a basketball game, a little bit. So that's cool to hear that there are some portions. Now, is there like, I guess I don't want to call it a show, but like within that time frame, like are there specific times where okay, we about to go, or is that just kind of like off the cuff?
I mean, a lot of it's feel. Just in the same way you kind of like even in the sense of a real game, if you kind of see again show if the show aspect of it, lends more towards the real game, and there, like there's a back and forth, a real nice back and forth, then we're just gonna let it play out, for a little bit. And
Nice.
so just things like that. But there are certain plays that, even within playing, you kind of can look for, and I'm like, all right, if this doesn't happen, then, okay, me and him got a motion action on the backside that we can work out and still, look for if the alley-oop's there, then, so yeah, there's a lot of feel to it. There's a lot of flow to it, but, there is a lot of, time where it is, like I said, just go hoop. So
that's dope, man.
But it is definitely, I would say, anchored more in show, like the show aspect of it. So like you think about in an NBA game, like in between, like timeouts and things like that, there are, like different interactions with the crowds and whatnot. And you think about like with the Globetrotters, that still happens, but a lot of that happens within us as the players, like, so it's things that we're doing. So.
Yeah. Man, that's cool, bro. Man, that sounds so fun. That sounds like a whole lot of fun. So, so one of the things that we like to do here is we like to also, there's obviously the Globetrotter. There's so many different things that you are even currently doing along with music, doing the content creating, the motivation stuff. There's so much going on to it, but everybody always has a story, right? There's some kind of origin of some sort where, what we see right now is more of a final product. And so, man, just talk us through your story, your testimony. Have you always been raised Christian? Like what are some foundational things that happened throughout your life that kind of got you to where you are now?
Yeah, all right. So I love being able to share, the backstory, because like you said, a lot of people, they come in on the Taylor, picture perfect, filtered part of it, and then it's just like, it's been a lot to get here, even whenever people find out that I played ball at Clemson, and it's just like, that's ACC, big time D1, a dream for many people, and a lot of people don't know. So both my parents were high school teachers, and so I got a chance to actually start kindergarten when I was 3. My parents were very big into education, so I started school really, really early.
Yeah. And
school-wise, I learned quickly that school is more than just the work you do. It's also social. And I did not fit in quite as well socially. When it came to like playing in the rec leagues and things like that, I played in my grade, not in my age group, because I was ages behind everybody. But so when I was on the pace that I was on, I entered middle school at 9 years old. So you can imagine how that went. Middle school is already an awkward time, and entering at 9 years old, extremely immature.
Really oblivious too.
So it was wild. First time I tried out for the school basketball team, my birthday had happened, so I was 11, and I got cut. And even though like I had been playing, with a lot of these guys, it just was a case of I was immature, underdeveloped, like I had skills, but just was not ready, for all that entailed actually being on a team that traveled and things like that. And, there is a little bit of responsibility that comes to being on a school basketball team that I definitely was not ready for. And, just, here we go. I can say that now. Like, this is me looking back. At the time, I did not like it. I was on the team my 8th grade year. And then the running joke in my family is that I did a red shirt year, I didn't go right into high school because mathematically, if you're keeping up, I would have been 12 going into high school.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that was a dodged the bullet with that one. So my second eighth grade year, I practiced with the high school team and started beating out some of the guys that I gotten cut, from the middle school team a couple years prior.
Yeah.
Made, get to high school. I'm playing all through, made varsity my sophomore year and all region my junior year. And I'm not really getting recruited to the level that I think that I should. And I'm getting frustrated and starting to wonder, what I need to do. Who do I need to send tape to? Things like that.
Yeah.
So we'll put a pin there and then we'll get one layer deeper.
Okay.
So I did grow up in church. I grew up, with parents that, stressed, the importance of putting God first in everything you do.
Yeah.
My dad led the FCA huddle at the school that he taught at, and my mom just praying mother, very creative, love her, and so for me, I had the head knowledge for years, and it wasn't really until that point between my junior and senior year where I'm having severe doubts of what my future is, what's life going to be like,
Yep.
that I'm realizing that I was finding my identity in basketball. I was finding my worth, my value, everything in this game that may or may not be kind to you. Like it's the reality is, like it's wild how much emotion, how much of our self-worth we put on, whether or not this little round orange basketball, goes through a hoop,
Yeah.
bounces the right way. But went to an FCA camp where I clearly heard the gospel. And honestly, I tell people, if basketball was sitting on the throne of my heart, I gave up basketball that weekend. Like
Oh
I had
wow.
to fully surrender basketball,
Yeah.
for God to truly have, Lord, to have lordship over my life,
Yeah.
over my future, over my uh, skills and everything. And I firmly felt the Lord, give me back basketball and say, now you know your purpose, and that's to tell people about Him.
Mm.
And so everywhere that all the doors that opened, I was just thankful to be able to be a light. It's wild because I signed my letter of intent originally. So that summer after the camp, played in some camps or played in some tournaments, played really well. Actually got a scholarship offer to Western Kentucky and accepted,
Oh dope.
and signed and everything. And so senior season of high school, I'm actually playing and preparing to go to Western Kentucky. Very long story short, March Madness rolls around. A guy by the name of Ty Rodgers hits what is still to this day a phenomenal game winner shot. I mean, it won the SB for best play
Mm.
and everything. His game winning shot changed my life because
Wow.
Western Kentucky made it to the Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
The coaching staff at Western Kentucky got a new job offer. And so the new coaching staff coming into Western Kentucky was like, I mean, we'll take you. If you want to reopen your recruitment, we understand. But, just if you want to come, just understand we're going to run a completely different system
Yeah.
than the previous coach. So that's that one. The coaching staff that was at Western Kentucky wasn't going to have the scholarships to be able to offer me at their new school because they were going to be under sanctioned, NCAA sanction from stuff that happened with the previous coach. And so I'm kind of left out, in no man's land 2 months
Yeah.
before graduating high school. And so in a span of 3 days, I got a chance to, my AAU coach told me to reach back out to Clemson because they actually were interested, but they had never offered before I had signed to Western Kentucky.
Mm.
So I wasn't really waiting around to see if they were going to do anything. And
Right.
even after the fact, I didn't know. But he said, reach back out to Clemson. Just trust me on that. I'm like, all right, cool. So got let out of my letter of intent on a Thursday, contacted Clemson, the assistant coach that I had been talking to. He comes down to North Augusta, watch me work out in an open gym on that Friday. Liked what he saw, invited me back up to the campus on a visit that Saturday, which happened to also be the spring game. And Not sure if you're familiar with, how spring games work in the South, but like it's a whole, like you would think it's like, Clemson's playing Alabama, like the
Wow.
way fans pop out scrimmage
Wow.
for a scrimmage. It's
That's crazy.
like, in this particular year is 2008. They were ranked top 20 going into the next season, very highly ranked.
Yeah.
And so there's like 40, 50,000 people in Clemson decked out in orange when I'm going on this visit. They're all going to this scrimmage football game. I'm just getting a tour of the campus, but obviously, like, I'm taking it all in.
Right,
So
right.
they take me on this tour. Ends in the locker room. The head coach at the time was Oliver Furnell. He comes in and he says, "Did you enjoy your visit?" I said, "I sure did." He said, "Could you see yourself playing here?" I said, "I sure could." He said, "Well, good. We want to offer you a full scholarship. What do you say?" That's when I got my scholarship. Was
Wow.
right then.
Right then and there.
So right then and there, and it's wild because I told you I had just reopened my recruitment.
Yeah.
And my mom told me, she said, no matter what happens, we're not going to commit this weekend because we don't know what other offers or opportunities are out there.
Yeah.
But he said, we're going to offer you a full scholarship. What do you say? And I said, yes. And I remember we were joking on the ride back. He said, so much for the plan going in. But we were like, as quickly as, they offer that scholarship, who's to say if we hold it and something happens next week, it might not even be there. So
Yeah.
I have a really good friend that he uses the quote. He said, the seize the moment of opportunities within the windows that they occur.
Mhm.
And it's just, like that's really what that was. I'm thankful to have gotten a chance to play at a place like Clemson. It's wild. My next door neighbors were big Clemson fans, and
Yeah.
so they came to my signing when I signed to Western Kentucky, and I still to this day have a picture of them, of one of them. I think it was my algebra teacher,
Mhm.
her brother was my next door neighbor, and
Mm.
so the next door neighbor family, and then his sister, my algebra teacher,
Mhm.
came to my signing, and I got a picture with them. The algebra teacher, she had a Clemson Tiger paw. Like she was wearing a vest in my Western Kentucky signing. So it's just kind of a little Easter egg to really
Yeah.
show people, like, you know what, God had a little wink even back then that he saw. He knew exactly what was going to happen. So.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah, yeah. The window of opportunity is huge for sure, and I think one of those. It's one of those things that when people are like, oh, God, what do you want me to do, and lead me and show me signs and this, that, and the other, whatever. And it's like sometimes it can literally be just right there on the spot, and then you hold back a little bit too long or whatever the case is, and you still like, oh Lord, show me, show me, show me, and he's like, I mean, I tried to. In fact, I led up to this
Yeah.
point, and you just
Yep.
went ahead and missed it. Like you just.
Yeah, for real.
So that's and to at least have the game plan, is cool. But then to I'm assuming to have that piece about you get this opportunity and you say yes, and there's enough peace in it to still be like, you know what, yeah, I think that was it. I think that was meant for me, at that time. So kind of so backtrack a little bit more with dealing with your faith. So you talked about your identity being found in basketball, and then once you laid it down before Jesus, he gave it back to you, and then in such a way that you could bring glory to him. And so what did that practically look like in your life? Like, did you all of a sudden become the basketball evangelists? Like, as you're dunking people, you're also like, I'll dunk you in this baptism too. Like, I'll take anybody down. Like, so how did that look like practically for you?
And so, like I said, I grew up in church, and so I get to Clemson, and I was just attending church my first semester, just trying to figure, life out. I was
Yep.
also attending our FCA gathering at Clemson, which is, one of the bigger chapters in the country. And so, like, I have somewhat community there, but I tell people the biggest step of faith or biggest catalyst in growing my faith when I was, especially in college, was serving at church. And
Nice.
so even as a college student, even as a college athlete, I was serving at my local church. And so I was
Amen.
actually a small group leader of sixth graders. And so I told you obviously how, my middle school experience was. And so I was a little hesitant, when they told me that I would be doing that, but I was actually leading a group with our athletic trainer. So it was cool being able to do that,
Yeah.
with somebody in house that I on a daily basis. Um, and you know, I remember being done with my freshman year. So like I finished out my freshman year and I'm serving at church,
Yeah.
still playing ball, doing all these things. And I got done with my freshman year and I remember just wanting to quit.
Mm.
Not transfer, but quit because what they don't tell you, and this is pre NIL, is that college athletics is a job. It
Mm.
is full time, all the time. Like they make your schedule. You have very little say so over your free time. And so,
Wow.
even in the free time that I was taking, like I'm serving at church, I'm doing all these things,
Right.
but it was a lot,
Yeah.
And so, mathematically, too, I entered college at 17. So, like, I'm still trying to figure all this out. Who am I? What do I want to do with my life? Like I had my major, but at the same time, still trying to practically surrender, every single day in
Yeah.
my life. And so I could share my story of everything that I had been through up to that point, but learning how to navigate that in a grand and a college scale
Mm-hmm.
was difficult. And so that's why I was so thankful to be able to have mentors through the local church that poured into me, that guided me, that continued to show me uh, how I can use my platform.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful for guys like, there was a guy by the name of Brad Cooper, not Bradley Cooper, but Brad Cooper, who is one of the pastors, who also had college athletics experience. He played ball at Furman University. And so when he was sharing advice, it hit different because I knew that he had been through it,
Yeah.
and so it wasn't just, oh, hey, I'm getting advice from, a godly man, no knock on anybody who's never played college sports, but
Right.
it's
Right.
sometimes hard to relate when you haven't actually like been through it. Like, when
Yes.
someone says like, balance your time, balance your, commitments, all of those things. And so I'm thankful just for the people that God put in my life, that spoke into my life. And in turn, during that summer, I've got access to the best facilities, some of the best facilities in the country playing at an
Mm.
ACC school. And that summer, I spent so much time playing on the blacktop, shooting around with my middle school kids in
Mm-hmm.
my small group because I really think God used that summer to just remind me that it is at the end of the day just a game. At
Mm.
times it is so overwhelming, the pressure that people put on you. And like I said, this is before NIL, this is
Mm-hmm.
before sports gambling was the way it is. Don't get me started on that. But the pressures of being an athlete, in
Yeah.
general, were still there.
Yeah.
And it was hard to navigate. And I think the Lord just really kind of used that summer to slow me down and just say, hey, at the end of the day, it is still a game. I
Yeah.
got you. Your purpose is not to get your identity and value wrapped up in this game
Right.
again. Remember that's what he delivered me from. And
Yeah.
so he used conversations with a sixth grader, to be able to show me, that this game, this life is so much bigger than what I'm seeing in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I mean, especially because you've already been there, done that in terms of finding your identity.
Hmm.
Having and honestly, that's honestly the just the power of serving regardless. Anytime you're serving anybody, it's very hard to get wrapped up into yourself. Like there's any kind of mindsets that you had when you're constantly getting served tends to shift when you're starting to serve others. And then for the Lord to be able to remind you, in that moment of serving and being with them, that it's like, hey, you see how you're all having fun? You see how it's just all, a game, fun and games? Yeah. I still want you to love this thing. It's because here's the thing, like, it wasn't necessarily a guy was trying to say like, hey, you're taking it too serious or whatever. It's just more of like, no. You love this, and I know it, and you laid it down for me. So I still want you to love this. Just keep loving me more, right? Essentially, that's the number one thing God is most strict about is, or obviously the two biggest commandments, right? Love the Lord God with all your strength, mind, and soul, and then equally, love your neighbors as yourself. And so when you're serving, you're doing both, right? That's where I would say you're flowing in both of those commandments the best, because you're doing it all to the glory of God, and you're loving on others as you would love yourself. And so it's just, man, that power of serving, especially, again, the schedule you're talking about being stupid crazy and people being in charge of that or whatever, like, for you to still cut out time, because it could have been one of those things, and maybe it was, I don't know, but where you get this schedule, you are worked super hard, having to deal with all this stuff and on top of the outside stuff and the internal stuff and all that. You could have been like, hey, you know what? A lot of this is really hard. I'm not going to cut my scholarship, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out on serving the church, or I'm going to cut out on these different, like, you could have cut those things out. Instead, you continued through those and through that schedule that was still stacked. God was able to give you some peace and give you some joy and some refreshment, in that. I think that's so dope. So how did you, and this is something that's always interesting, especially being in the sports world, anybody who's been in any kind of athletic stuff at all, myself included, from the different sports that I've done, especially if you're a starter, right? Especially if you're a starter as well. What did you do? Like, how did you walk that through where you didn't, I mean, not just your identity in it, but to the point where you didn't allow the attraction of I'm on the team to be something that you like led with, like to where, because you got the identity thing, but then at the same time you also got to be like, hey, what's up? So I play for Clemson. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just goes straight to like everything you do, kind of like how people do with their jobs, So how what did you do, or how did that go for you, where you kind of combated that?
So this is also going back to the seeds that God plants. It's wild to see, because I realized I had a really good example coming through high school, and I didn't even realize it until after the fact. So. Wow. I'm gonna say a name, and it means not. It may mean something to you. I would be kind of surprised if it did. But my high school basketball coach was a guy named Al Young. Don't know if that rings a bell, but he played professional football back in the day, and I was fortunate to play, for him really all 4 years, because I got moved up my freshman year, and then. After my time at Clemson, after my time at the Globetrotters, when I came back to the area to work with Fellowship for Christian Athletes, I actually coached with him for what was supposed to be his last year coaching. He retired for maybe 2 years and came back, and because he likes it. I don't blame him. But he played professional football. And I remember at his retirement party, one of his sons, before he introduced him, he said, I know two things about every single person in this room. He said, one, that my dad played for the Los Angeles Raiders and played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a receiver, and he did all these things, with all these Hall of Famers and whatnot. And the second thing, and we all nodded and shook, and the second thing really stood out to me because I didn't realize it until he said it. And he said, and the second thing is, I know he's not the one that told you. And I was like, wow, that's so true. That's so true. So, like, he had, here we go. His claim to fame was everybody, that follows football, NFL, and whatnot knows about the immaculate reception. Franco Harris, the shoestring catch, all of that. The play right before that, Al Young had a catch. And so, like, he might have been either the leading receiver in that game or the game before that, but, like, he was, on the team with Hall of Famers,
Yeah.
receiving, passes from Terry Bradshaw alongside, John Starworth, all these guys,
Oh
you know.
wow.
And the thing is, to my point earlier, he didn't lead with that. Matter of fact, that was rarely something he brought up. And so even to this day, I still don't often talk about like my experience with the Globetrotters. I understand it's something that, is a part of my story. It's something that people want to discuss. I realize it is
Right.
a good, how do I say it? It's a good lead,
Yeah.
into a deeper conversation.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I typically lead into. So, like I said, I had that as an example coming into college, coming into a place like Clemson. And so then
Wow.
I also learned that, for me, as somebody that got bullied, as somebody that got picked on, it was kind of hard sometimes to make friends. I have seen that other side of people. And then obviously once I started having some success, tones change, demeanors change. And it's like, so I'm like, I want to, as much as I can, I like to find out how genuine someone is before they, know all those things,
Notice it.
because
Yeah.
the moment that someone finds that out, it just naturally, like, my status perception is going to change in their mind,
Yeah.
but that shouldn't change how you treat me.
Right.
It's naturally going to do that, but
Yeah.
I get to see how someone treats people, not just people they think that they might be able to get something from.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool thing. Like we joke, my wife is she was, she used to do the stats for basketball in her high school, and she's got more degrees than me. But the thing is, we joke about is like she's not like in love with me as a player. She's not like, actually she was introduced. So I used to wear goggles, so it was almost a turnoff for her whenever she did see my basketball picture. But the funny thing is like, you know, I used to always say I wanted somebody to love me for who I am, not just for what I did.
Amen.
And God allowed me to, meet my wife while serving in the ministry of FCA, and being able to serve other coaches and athletes. And it's just in a genuine sense, she has been a big blessing in my life to show me, um, even at times when I don't realize that I am leaning on that validation or leaning on that affirmation from people too heavily.
Yeah.
I still have to find my identity in Christ, and that's with everything. And so, shout out to her. I don't know if she's watching. She may be watching the UConn USC game right now.
I
But
know.
shout
I
out to
know.
wifey.
Yeah. Shout out, wife. Yeah. It's an intense time right now in the sports world. So, yeah, man. So that's so cool about the whole not leading with, because so as a DJ, as a dancer, as a former athlete, like I I know also what it's like to you do see that shift of how people treat you, and then sometimes seeing that they're not treating you a certain way, and then you're like, oh yeah, by the way, this is what I do, and then they shift and say, see, that's what I
Hmm.
wanted you to do, and God checking me multiple times of like, hey, come on now, this is you saying it's all for me, but I didn't tell you to tell
Hmm.
them that. So I think that's really powerful, bro. I think to um, to always lead with just who you are as an individual, and then especially as a believer,
Hmm.
trying to find that commonality, right? Because
Yeah.
we're supposed to find in the church in general, we're supposed to find that common ground with Jesus, right? Jesus is supposed to be that common
Amen.
denominator where no matter what size church you're from, no matter what your background is, no matter the pockets, all that, at the end of the day, we know Jesus, and because we know Jesus,
Hmm.
we gonna be rocking together for eternity. And so that should be what brings us together. But then what happens is obviously man's heart, as
Right.
sinful and prideful as it is, turns into, well, you should love me more because of this stuff, or because I have a bigger platform, I now can share Jesus better than you can. And the one of the things that my friend George Moss, he's the founder of all things
Hmm.
Oxen Apparel, and so one of the things that has always been great about being his DJ is I've always seen how he's treated everybody who's not on stage. Like he's on these big platforms, he's on these stages with all these different artists and doing different things. But like I would say probably the best connections, just through the years that I've been with him, has been with the people who just serve the food, or who is just running us from place to place, or the volunteer mom who just loves being around youth, and so she's picking up trash and doing different things, and so yeah, man, those moments are so precious to be able to have that, and I love just even hearing that part of your story. I'm like, oh man, I can see where God is just consistent in character in that way, where he just wants us to function that way everywhere we are. So you're doing the basketball thing. You're coming to know the Lord. You've got into Clemson. You're staying on track. God's reminding you can still love this and still serve me. And then I would say your basketball career is winding down. Somewhere in there, you turned into a rapper, okay? Or maybe that was always part of your story. So tell me a little bit about how the music shift started happening for you.
Right. So goes back as far back as middle school. So middle school, I was on the newspaper staff. I was always a storyteller. I was a writer. My mom used to do poetry, and so I started doing poetry, just to be like her. And so over time, I began writing my own remixes and raps and things like that. The first time, like I used to do, my mom used to have puppets, and so I used to sometimes do covers of Kurt Franklin as a puppet. Like I'd do like one of the Stomp or something.
I did the
but
puppet
like I'm doing
ministry. Yeah, bro, I know exactly what you're talking
you feel
about.
me?
Yeah.
So I have that background, but the first time I can remember really doing like one of my own original raps, I made this is to date me for a little bit, so humor me. I did a remix to Walk It Out for our homecoming pep rally in high school.
Wow.
And so performed it in front of the whole school, and so that was fun. It was it's still wild because I'm just like, it was bad. It was really bad. But, like you look back on, the early days of, hey, I put myself out there.
Yeah.
And, your fellow high schoolers, they're just getting hyped because you just, you're trying, you're going for it. And so,
and that's your
like,
peers, bro. That's a whole different level of tension. That's your peers.
Yeah, it was. It really was. But when they said, and again, you got to own the moment. If you kind of timid, then they're going to be kind of like, eh.
Yep.
But honestly, you come out, the first couple bars, laid those down. I'm in a sound system in the gym, so they're not hearing everything clearly. So they're really just feeding off the energy.
Yep.
So it was fun. And then get to college, and I'm just continuing to write remixes. This is actually now that it's an interesting connection. So what led me to starting to serve at the church that I was serving at was they did a series, I guess it was December, so it was close to Christmas, and it was called Flow. And my buddy Brad was the youth pastor, and I'm watching back the playback podcast, and he puts in there, he says, I think the series was called Flow, and so he says, if anybody has Flow, send us a video of it, and we'll play it, like next week or something like that. And so I recorded, at that point, I had written a remix to A Milli. And so it was, it's about as Christian, cheesy cliche as you would think. Listen, look, $1 million here. Yes, I feel like $1 million bucks, but a life without Christ, it sucks like a vacuum does dust. So is heaven or bust. So for the time being, like that was, it was going.
Yeah.
So I recorded that video, sent it on a Sunday. I get an email Monday morning and a call from the worship leader saying, hey, we loved your video, and we know this may be a long shot, but is there a way we could get you to come perform it live?
Wow.
So this was, so the church was 25 minutes away from campus where I was staying.
Mm-hmm.
And so timing wise, this is the part where we go back to being an athlete that, was difficult to
The
factor
window.
into this.
Yeah.
So I get this email on Monday. We're playing a game on Tuesday because this is December. So we're in season.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So we play a game on Tuesday, and I have to have fingers crossed that we have the day off on Wednesday. And so luckily we did. And so I was able to go do that and stayed connected with the church. Like that was actually the first time I went to that particular, well, I went to the Sunday before and then went to that Wednesday and served, for the remainder of my college career. But rap was my initial step into church or into serving at church. And so
Okay.
I tell people while I was doing that during my time of, I had a small group, but every now and then I get asked to do a cover of, like whether it's my own original lyrics. Most of the time I was doing like the cover of like, okay, we did, this was the era of, we did Airplanes by B.O.B.
Mm-hmm.
We did, oh gosh, there was one time we did "Don't Waste Your Life" by Lecrae, and I had to do both Lecrae and Dwayne Triumph's verses. And
Oh.
for those of you who remember that song,
Bro.
that's whew, yeah, that was a challenge. But
Man.
like you learn through it. You learn what it looks like to, and so it's interesting seeing the sports side and the showman side. Because I'm having to learn how to perform. I'm having to learn how to
Yeah.
deliver on a stage to people, being consistent.
Yeah.
And it's all of those things kind of set itself up for the Globetrotters. But I put out my first mixtape my junior year of college.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy by the name of Ben Huffer. If for whatever reason he's watching this, shout out to Ben. He had a little studio set up in his apartment on campus, and just went over to his apartment, was recording a bunch of remixes to different songs. I think we did, we threw the A Million there. We threw Heart of the City by Jay-Z, just a whole bunch of, current songs at the time. And then the next summer I did my own original stuff that I bought beats, leased beats, whatever from. And so it kind of was a slow journey
Yeah.
towards really throughout my college career, but like middle towards the end of it was when I really started getting like serious about like, no, this is actually something that I can do and make on my own and, put out there.
That's dope, man. Yeah. That's dope. So, with the music, we have a song, right? Oxen Brand Music.
Hmm.
We're doing an Oxen Spotlight,
Hmm.
where you shot a video for it, which was really dope. Did you shoot
Yeah.
that video yourself, or?
No, so I
Okay.
got connected with a guy up here in Greenville, and the cool thing is, as a creative, as a creator, I get a chance to connect with a lot of people, and
Yeah.
I love being able to bring in other people to what I'm doing, both that are believers and non-believers, because I
Yes.
really think, as a creator, when you have that common ground, of something, a shared experience, a shared ability, skill, whatever, you can start connecting dots.
Mm-hmm.
And even if nothing ever happens of it, just being able to shine a light, and have a voice in someone's life. And
Yeah.
so, connected with a guy up here in Greenville is awesome. And, that was the early day. This is the early days of the idea that is now blossoming and kind of becoming its own world of Juice. So
Okay.
I did two EPs, the Juice Box and the Juice Box 2. And so this song comes from the Juice Box 2.
Okay. Dope. And this song is called Tech and Pace.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Oxen Spotlight portion of the show where we're going to go ahead and we're going to give this song a little listen to. So let's check this out.
Twice this one's crazy.
Tech and bass, ay, too much tech and bass, tech and bass, ay, too much tech and bass, ay, tech and bass, ay, too much tech and bass,
I got a flow that it don't even bother. The bottle like water that's coming from Fiji. Patiently waiting for others to go get your weight up. I told them to go eat your Wheaties. So many people chase green with the envy. I feel like I live near 100 Luigi's. They all want to mention, but feel they can't get it unless they go switch to the grass that is greener. I am the eye of the storm, and I'm warning you that you should probably holler at FEMA. I'm going off of the meter. My games have you fixing the tip in the pen with your keeper. Up a 90, don't remind me. Tell me why people are shot that I've been good at FIFA, huh? I don't know, but man's been nice with Lil No OGC and me. Game in my hands like a PSP, I can even beat PSG. Word of my French, but I know I got too much second pace to sit on a bench. So I walked on the pitch and my squad has been running it ever since. Man's been nice with Lil No OGC and me. Game in my hands like a PSP, I can even beat PSG. Word of my French, but I know I got too much second pace to sit on a bench. So I walked on the pitch and my squad has been running it ever since. I am on pace for a better course and I'm better for it. With proper perspective, it all gets connected like metaphors or similes. The tendency is to believe that I can't make a living off of rap. That's a load of crap. Others may control the top, so I brought the counterattack. Matter of fact, I know I've been steadily moving. A simple thing of consistency has kept me slowly improving. No need to be put in a box to score my teams for the long range shooters and booters that all can strike from any distance with precision. You get me? Cause man's been nice with Lil No OGC and me. Game in my hands like a PSP. I could even beat PSG. One of my friends, but I know I got too much second pace to sit on the bench. So I walked on the pitch and my squad has been running it ever since.
Oh man, that was nice. Be nice with it, bro.
Thank you.
Man, yo, just even that opening bar, man. As soon as you tied in green and then Luigi's and then you hit the mansions too, and I was like, oh, gamer talk. now we're talking games.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah. I love being able to just put little nuggets in there. I've been a gamer all my life, so like honestly, that whole song, if you want to take it there, we'll call it very FIFA inspired. The entire song.
Okay.
A lot of people who don't come from the soccer world have asked me, what is tech? It's like, it's technique, So a lot of times when somebody's very technical, they're usually not fast, i.e. we'll use a Luka Doncic, you know what I'm saying? Or a Nikola Jokic, you know what I'm saying? So
Perfect.
a lot of times when you think of pace, like somebody's very athletic, they can obviously do a lot, either from a basketball standpoint above the rim, they're fast, whatever, they're strong. But technique comes from a different place, and so having tech and pace. So yeah.
That's dope. That's dope, bro. Yeah, no, I like the wordplay, of course, and yeah, I mean, just even the flow pattern is different, and so it bounces enough to where you're bouncing with the music, but you're bouncing with lyrics too. So so you're talking about the whole juice box, right? So again, we're a basketball player who was also doing rap and was able to do a little bit of both, then went into Harlem Globetrotter. So now you're using the mixture of the showmanship as well as the athleticism, and then you're transitioning from that into this content creator, this motivator. Where did that shift start? Even earlier in your career? Was it a little bit later? Like how did that shift happen for you, bro?
Yeah, so I've always been a storyteller. That's always been something that I've been gifted at, passionate about. I love hearing people's stories. I love sharing other people's stories. So was on the newspaper staff when I was in middle school, high school, got my degree in communication studies. And so I think story is one of the best things that we have as a point of connection. There are stories that are transcend culture. I think when you think about laughter, when you think about sports, when you think about food, when you think about music, these are things that transcend culture, and at their core, they're all a story. They're all an emotional connection. And so being able to bridge those gaps in some ways, because I'm I'm a 6'6" guy. I've always had a different landscape of view on things. And so a lot of times I am able to make connections that other people don't see. And so I've learned, especially in this day and age with content, that sometimes just making something almost like say this, but in this terms, you know what I'm saying? Like how can you put it in a level or put it in a way that I understand? And that's what I try to do with a lot of my content. A lot of it are things that I would say are inherently motivational. They are very much rooted in the gospel, even if they are not explicit, you know, in the sharing of a Bible verse, you know, verbatim or things like that. The idea of the juice comes from, you know, this idea or this ideology of fruit under pressure. And you think about the fact of, you know, we're all called, you know, as believers to have the fruit of the Spirit. Amen. But at the same time, you know, in this life, we will face trials, we will face, you know, trouble, but take heart that Jesus has overcome the world. And so just like understanding that even when the pressures of the world come to, you know, attack the fruit in your life, there will always be juice. So
amen. Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, sound of the juice, right? Sound of the juice. That's dope. That's dope to hear that background. So you know, when you're doing the motivational things, whatever, how so it's always interesting, especially just Christian content creators, I guess, in general. It's always really interesting because on one end, you know, we are our main call in life, right? If anybody's like, "Oh, what's my calling?" Your calling is to be a disciple that makes disciples. That is everyone's calling who claims the name of Christ. Absolutely. With that, how you do it, right, is it looks a plethora of different ways. And so, of course, you've got certain camps who feel a certain way of like, oh, you should do it this way, whatever. But regardless, you're doing your motivational stuff. Some Christians may look at that and be like, but if you don't say Jesus, it's almost like the rapper thing, right? If you don't say Jesus in every bar, in every IG video or whatever, you're not really making disciples. Then you'll have, again, obviously, the other extreme is, man, I ain't never got to say Jesus. You know, once they get a chance to hang out with me, they'll see that Jesus in me. He's in there. You know, it's like, so you get these extremes. So for you, what's your conviction? What's the Holy Spirit kind of guiding you in terms of how some of that stuff, like you said, it comes from Christian principles and it may not be explicit, but how is he walking you through that?
Yeah, I think in many ways, you know, just from a lot of the conversations that I've had, I've realized that there are a lot of believers that really, and this could come off really odd, but I think you'll understand where I'm coming from and I can unpack it. There are a lot of Christians that are dope creators. Yes. So I'll give you a really good example of somebody that, like Steph Curry. Yeah. Let's use Steph Curry like from a outside perspective and bring it back into the creative world. Okay. I think a lot of times when it comes to Christian music, Christian culture, Christian content, we like things to stay in a bubble. We like things to stay in a box. We like things to stay within the safe haven of what we know. Now, Steph Curry would be Stephen Curry if he was only playing in church leagues, but he still would not be able to impact the amount of people if he was not on the scale that he was on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You go
and
ahead.
So
and
that's what I would love for more people to see. And so this is where, like, I can understand for some people's convictions, they're like, hey, I understand that you're, you know, pushing, you know, the motivational stuff, you know, I will quote people, you know, a lot of times that, you know, if you go to their pages and see their other content, there's cursing, there's other things, you know, that sometimes whenever I quote somebody, sometimes I did take out a curse word from the actual quote, but, you know, like from what they really were saying. But what they said, like, I felt it. It really made an impact on me. So, like, as a believer, you know, I told you about my style playing in, you know, at Clemson. Yeah. What people don't realize is, like, some of my favorite players watching growing up was Kevin Garnett, was Kenyon Martin, was, you know what I'm saying? Yes. Like, I just love the way that they attacked the game. I just love the way that they handled themselves. And yet, I also had to realize that just because that's how I perceive somebody on the court doesn't necessarily mean that that's who I need to be following off the court.
Yes.
And so I think there needs to be spaces for Christians to be able to have conversations like this, because I understand, because here's the reality. I used to very much be the Christian that only had Christians on his playlist.
Yeah, and I think
Now,
we've all,
if
if
you
we're
still,
honest, I think all of us at some
yeah,
point hit that, like, yeah, I'm on fire for Jesus, and I'm burning all my CDs and all this stuff. So
yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And so I've definitely had that conversation with people, and it's not for me to convince somebody otherwise of their convictions.
yeah,
But if you're open to having a conversation, because some people will ask me, like, where did you get the inspiration for, Tech and Pace, for Juice Box, things like that.
yeah,
It's very much, like, hey, I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. I play FIFA, I play video games. They have all these soundtracks of
yep,
great artists, many of whom are not believers, but I love the sound. It impacts me. It resonates with me. And so being able to take inspiration from that, but also what Jesus is doing in my heart, what he's doing through being connected to the local church. What
yes,
I'm still connected, I'm still serving, and so it's like, you know, I would almost have more of a issue, and it's not even an issue, but I would have more of a concern for the person whose content is more explicitly Christian and they're not plugged into the local
a
church. They're
thousand
not plugged
percent.
into a body. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to somebody who, like, yeah, here we go. If you have a problem with something that I'm saying or something that I'm doing, I guarantee you, I have people in my life that are going to tell me the exact same thing. And it's not that I won't listen to you,
Right.
but chances are I might take it to somebody else that I trust and be like, hey, somebody brought up this point. I just want to like, am I not seeing something, because there's a depth of relationship there. And
Yes.
so, and I
Amen.
think having the humility to be able to still sit under that. Nobody is exempt from that.
Amen.
I would say non-believer or believer, but especially the believer, like, everybody should be open to coaching, everybody should be open to correction, everybody should be open to guidance, because at the end of the day, we don't know our own blind spots. And
Amen.
so I love being able to honestly just have good conversations with my content, because there's a lot of believers, that come from the athletic world,
Mm-hmm.
that, follow, certain people that are, really big in the motivational and world of, putting out stuff, but, they don't necessarily know. It's like, I mean, can I follow this person? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if that's your conviction to not follow them, then I get it. But at the
Right.
same
Right.
time, allow me to curate, what I'm saying, like, for you, things that you can still get from them. Because there's a lot of really good, like, I think a lot of times, just as Christians, people are afraid of what's new anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid of change. And
Mm-hmm.
so, the idea of somebody who is, it's cool because now we have so much access to, like, if somebody goes
Mm-hmm.
viral or somebody has a
Yeah.
big time hit, we get to see, kind of even more of their journey as they're going through it.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly commend Lecrae, for doing kind of his look backs of, different things that he said in previous interviews, and
Yes.
realizing, like, where he was in that season of life, how other people were coming at him, but also at how he sees it now. Because I think our journeys aren't as linear as we would like them to be. And if we really take the time to step back and look at it and actually have grace, not only for ourselves, but for other people who are still going through it, have mercy for somebody else to not have it all figured out, that I think would allow for so much more connection, could allow for so much more
Mm-hmm.
true growth.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, you wouldn't see as much church hurt when somebody's dealing with a believer, because somebody says they love me but isn't really even willing to listen to what I have to say.
Woo! Amen. Oh, Sarah, that was a great take. That was a great take. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't say any of it. He said all of it, but I believe all of it as well too. So yeah, bro, that's so good, man. That's so good. All that you said. It's you could either if you're just sitting there and complaining, please just stop. Okay? Like, please stop. If you don't like something and you're doing your own thing because you don't like the way they spin on it, okay, cool. Hats off to you. Okay. But don't tell me every single time you put something out, how you should, we should listen to you because everyone else is wrong. Because now I don't want to hear you. Because now it's like, you coming off way more arrogant than you're claiming someone else to be. So I love that it's just, and I love the topic that you talked about, or the portion that you talked about where somebody may say something and you may not directly go back and forth with them, but that does not mean that you don't go take it to someone else. And honestly, bro, the main thing that you hit on, and I really want to just point back to is you are actually in a community. You are actually under leadership, because you are still submitting yourself, not just to the ultimate authority of Jesus Christ, but also to a human being who is meant to pastor and steward your life in your growth as well. Because of that submission, like you said, I am less concerned when somebody does something wild, something makes a post that I don't like. Maybe you quote somebody I don't like or whatever and all that. I am far less concerned about it because I know that there's some leadership that's there. What I get concerned about is when somebody says that I'm my own church or my own little house group or whatever. Like when you start talking certain ways like that, you're like, you know what? It's a good time to hit unfollow just in case, Or
well, and that's what I was gonna say is everybody approaches that differently. I think it depends on the relationship that I have with somebody. I think I have to just. And this is kind of the approach that I've taken when it comes to, because a lot of times people will ask me, okay, well, you listen to secular music, you watch secular TV shows, movies, all of this. And I'm like, you do too, but you just don't admit it as well because, we have selective Christianity views. Because here we go. The person who's watching LSU and Iowa, congratulations, you're watching a secular event. I just don't, but let's just call it what it is. It's wild. Right. But I think it's, a lot of times when it comes to having relationships and conversations with people, I think the point that I get to when it genuinely, when I get to the point where I'm unfollowing somebody is they're doing something or saying something that is leading me or causing me to, stumble, causing me to, not necessarily backslide, but to have that seed of something to be there. That's one. And then two, if I get the feeling, especially if I know we've had a relationship, that I don't feel like you're going to even hear me out and you're just, adamant, just not listening and things like that. I was like, okay, look, at that point, it's the proverbial, dust your feet, wipe your hands, like holla, literally. And that's what it is. And it's nothing personal. I've just learned I have to set that boundary. And it's, for me, I've realized a lot of people, again, are so concerned with saying, well, I only eat or I only, watch, Christian content or only listen to Christian music. I get that. It's not either or. I say when it comes to the believer who listens to secular music, it would be no different than if I tried to make my entire diet Sour Patch Kids.
Right.
Like there comes a point where this is no longer healthy for me. That doesn't mean that I can't eat Sour Patch Kids. I can't do Warheads. I'm a big sour candy person.
Hey, me too.
But yeah, but like there comes a point where this isn't bad for me, but it can become bad for me if that is the only thing I am sustaining my diet on. So whether that is, and the reality is what goes in eventually comes out. And so you have to be careful about that.
It's true.
You know, you have to be, no, even with the best of filters, you know, like, and I'm not even talking like Instagram filters. I'm talking about like, oh, you know, like the substitute cuss words, the, you know, the
Yes,
whatever you want to call it.
absolutely.
The out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Yep.
You know, all of these things we do have to be on guard about. And so you have to be careful about, you know, what it is you're taking in. And so this is where I've tried to almost be like a nice bridge between for some people who do enjoy the I don't necessarily say I enjoy, but like, you know, the David Goggins, the Andy Frisellas, the very much you know, there we go, the Gary V's,
rough around the
the
edges.
content that is just a bit.
Yeah.
But there is a lot there that they share that I think, you know, if somebody is, you know, doing business, you know, I think it's cool to see what Chick-fil-A has built over the years. Shout out to Chick-fil-A always and forever. And the fact that they've been able to build such a sustainable business, but like in many ways, they still had to understand what was good business prior to, before they, you know, kind of operated within the grounds of what they believe is their unique selling point, their unique, you know, factor.
Yeah, man. No, that's good. And you know, to the person who wants to say something about, you know, well, you know, I follow, you know, I was following them or whatever, and then they made me stumble and everything else. And again, that's where I say, okay, well then go back to that page and then just unfollow. And you know, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Like, please, you know, don't try to make your diet all, like, don't be in this Christian bubble, and don't also then go so far away from Christianity that then, you know, it does start warping you and changing you. And at the same time, that just might be your season. So that might be your conviction. Maybe when Lecrae talked about his history of going on, you know, to a Diddy party, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with that. Okay, guess what? Go ahead and hit that unfollow. Okay, pray for him and anybody else who's affected. And then hopefully at some point you'll start realizing, oh, okay, that's what he did in the past, and it meant this, that, and the other, like all the other things. And then you'll get to a point that maybe, you know, the Lord will bring you back and be like, you know what? I can still follow that guy. Let me go ahead and follow back. That follow and unfollow, ladies and gentlemen, is not your defining love. Okay, all right, or it is just social media. It's you know, and especially it's more so in the younger generation, but even some of the old generation gets really weird on it, where it's just like, yo, no, I'm not adding you on Facebook. I don't ever talk to you at all. I don't need you to know everything about myself, my family, or whatever. No. But yes, if you would like to sit down for some lunch at any point, please feel free to text me. We'll hit each other up. But social media is not this super personal connection. But I agree, man. Everything you said tonight, bro, is so on point, and it is good for someone like you to realize, like, hey, I can function kind of both within this world here without compromising my identity, and understanding I am wired, because you do have to be kind of wired to be able to be a little bit of both, and not lukewarm. We're not talking hot or cold, little bit of war. We are talking about being able to facilitate your life in such a way that you have the boundaries that you were talking about, that you are able to communicate with other people or be around others that may not see Jesus the way that you do, and still not only be a light, but at the same time not be a Christian jerk. Like, there's too many of those where you now, it's not that they don't love Jesus. They can't stand you. All right. I mean, even Muhammad was like, hey, I loved you. I love your Jesus. I love everything you guys talk about your Jesus, but you Christians, I do not like you.
People.
I do not like you people. So that's good, bro. That's good, man. Well, hey, I mean, it's been great chopping it up with you, man. Just hearing your story, and you know, I know that there's more to you than basketball and everything, but hearing your story and then seeing you in this phase of the motivational and you know, it makes sense. It honestly is just like, oh, okay, cool. This journey that God had taken you through, you being able to sit back and pull from all of it, and then take it into this next season, because, you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys did not know, wherever the Lord takes you is not for you to forget once you've come out of it. You know, you learn your lessons, and you also take those things that you grew from and then add that to what you're being called to. Because last thing I want to do is be called to something that I have nothing in my background at all to pull from. No, God uses all of those experiences. I mean, gosh, you read the Bible and it's constantly going back to Abraham, to Jacob, it's constantly always going back, even as it's moving forward. And so so to hear that about your life and seeing that or whatever, it's like, it makes sense. I love what you're doing, bro. I love that you are, I would say, one of the rare commodities in this Christian space, doing what you're doing. You don't. It doesn't have to be just ET, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, all right. He ain't the only Christian out here doing that stuff and having that.
Yeah.
So that's dope, man. Well, hey, again, I appreciate you, man. Do you you got any kind of last encouraging thoughts or things that you want to plug before you bounce?
Yeah, no, first of all, man, genuinely, thank you for having me. I always enjoy having a platform to be able to have these kinds of discussions. As I talked about, I understand my background with basketball, and I've learned, again, my story isn't just for me, it's to be shared, and
Amen.
the things that, the Lord has brought me through. And so I appreciate, the conversation, in its totality, obviously being able to touch on where I've been, which includes basketball, but also, where the Lord is bringing me now. And so I really do appreciate you setting all this up. I think the last thing that I would tell people is just, there's a lot of people that, no matter where they are in life, they're trying to figure out what the Lord is putting in front of them, where they're called to, and you need two things. You need His Word and His people to be able to help you discern. And genuinely, I'm thankful to have both. I'm thankful for the people in my life, and the various people that I quote and whatnot. I've been able to make a lot of digital community and connections, but wholeheartedly, the amount of in-person people that have spoken into my life, I think I would stress that more so nowadays, especially in such a digital world that we live in. Find in-person community that you can, actually do life with. And the last thing I would say is kind of to your example of, just the things that God has put in your life, will always come back up. I've told people on this journey of juice, you can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you'll never be able to count the number of apples in a seed. You think about the seeds within an apple that then get planted and whatnot. And so I am living proof of just people that have poured into me, that have shown me that it is possible to be both, a Christian and a creative, at the same time, not having to, swing too far or, one side or the other. It's, walking that narrow road, walking it as I know that God has wired me to walk it. And for somebody else, God has maybe wired you to walk it a little differently. Be inspired by the world, but don't be of the world, and honestly, God bless. Thank you so much.
Amen, bro. Amen. Hey, thank you so much for your time, bro. And we'll definitely keep in touch, man. We wanna see where the Lord's got you, man. I think it's gonna be really good. And again, just I love the fact that you are rooted in community. That's so underrated. People may talk about it, but it's not the number one priority. And so I love that your life has definitely sounded like you've been very rooted in community, bro. So we are now thankful to be a part of the community via the digital space as well, bro.
Absolutely.
So we'll definitely
Yes,
keep it
sir.
locked, man. All right, bro.
Appreciate you.
Till next time, man.
See
Peace.
ya.
Yeah, man. Okay. Woo. I love some good conversations, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it's conversations like this tonight that reminds me why I really just enjoy talking. I just really, really enjoy communicating with people, hearing their stories, seeing how they view things. It's funny. So Kevin on Stage, for those of you guys who may not know, Kevin on Stage is a comedian in the Christian space, but he's doing a lot of different things too. Kevin on Stage put out an Instagram reel where he said something along the lines of, so what it was is this guy, he was looking at his windshield after a rain or during rain or whatever, and talked about, as a kid, he had like a favorite raindrop and that they were, racing or whatever. Anyways, I probably shouldn't have just painted the picture. That probably just confused you. But regardless, Kevin was just like, man, he's like, was there anything that I experienced personally that nobody else experienced? Because the internet has shown many of us have gone through a lot of similar situations, similar thoughts and whatnot, which, I do really enjoy about the internet, where, in some ways the internet makes the world very small, because you realize, like, okay, cool, I'm not alone, and, other people like these certain things and whatnot. And then at the same time, it makes the world very big, where it's just like, oh, there's a lot of other problems and other things going on, other goods that are happening to other people, and it's not just me, and I'm not just the main character, right? Of my own story. There's other things, and so I just love having these kind of conversations. I say all that to say that I love having these conversations, like with Be Nice, because it's fun to see how the Lord is working through others, and how I can, not that I need to adopt everything they're saying to my life, but at the same time, there are certain things that I'm just like, oh man, like, yes, I kind of viewed it that way, or I experienced it this way, or I could see how maybe in this moment, in hindsight, after this conversation, I could sit back and be like, okay, cool, like maybe there was something in there that I could have learned from now hearing their story. So anyways, I say all that to say, I love doing this, y'all. I love doing this. Shout out to everybody who's able to tune in live. I know right now it's March Madness, and people really madness about about sports and everything. So if you tuned in live, or if you are watching back on the replay, I appreciate you. I really honestly do. And so I'm going to go ahead and just do a general prayer out. Normally we pray it out, but I'm going to do a general prayer out because, again, we're supposed to be in a tornado warning of some sort, and I got my in-ears in, so I can't hear nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and check on my kids, too. My wife, who's a police officer, she is on patrol right now. She works through the night. So I'm going to go ahead and just lift up everybody in prayer, and then we go and bounce out of here. So, Lord, first and foremost, thank you so much for today, another day, to just be able to receive your mercies, all right? Receive your grace, Father, and just we deserve death, we deserve hell, but instead we have a free gift through your Son, and our Lord Jesus Christ, and we just celebrated Resurrection Day, and even if the world is trying to take that day and trying to make it something that is a perverted twist as to how you actually orchestrated life to be, Father. I don't know about everybody else's feed, Father, but my feed was just drowning in He is risen, and just glorifying you, and even if it's people that I don't really know what their walk is actually like, the fact that they took a day to bring glory to your name, Father, makes me rejoice. And so I pray, Lord, that all that we say and do and even think may bring glory to you, Father. Lord, I pray for anybody who is dealing with any kind of sickness or pain in their body, Lord, would you give them relief? If there are things, rather it's diet restrictions or actually going to go see a doctor or anything, Father, that somebody is being hesitant on, may you press on them to do that, to take that, to do what it is, in trusting that you are still over everything, and that you have them in your hands, Father. And so we also pray for marriages, any marriages that are just under attack and not self-inflicted, but there are things in the outside, little aggravations here and there that are setting them off, Father. Lord, I just pray for unity within marriages. I pray with unity within the church body as well, Father, that maybe we don't see eye to eye on some of our open hand issues, but Father, I pray that for those closed hands, those non-negotiables that make Christianity what it is, Father, may we find that common ground, Lord, and seek peace and seek love, even with those that we don't agree with, Father. May we find ways to find that common ground as image bearers Lord, that we may love that person. If there's forgiveness that we are withholding from anybody in our life, past or present, Father, may you give us the strength to be able to be in a situation that we can either forgive them via text, in person, however, and if that's not the case, may we release it in our heart and talk about it. Talk it to our pastors. Talk it to those who are mentoring us and pouring into us, Father. May we communicate those thoughts and feelings as well, Father. Lord, I pray for protection right now for anybody in the area who's dealing with any kind of weather stuff or is about to, however it is. May you protect them, Father. Protect my wife as she is on patrol, Father, not just from the weather, but the other image bearers that tend to be a little wild sometimes, Father. So may you just be with us and allow us to seek you in the scriptures, not seek how we see ourselves in the scripture, Father. As we are reading our word, may we first ask the question, what does this say about my God? What does this say about who Jesus is? Not how can I apply this to my life, Father? Although that is important, may we not lead with that question as my pastor just spoke on last night. So we pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right, y'all. Till next time. Peace. Hey, if you liked any of this content and you found some value in it, make sure that you like, subscribe, and of course, share it. Also, if you're interested in some more, go ahead and check out these videos. Till next time, grace and peace. Adios.